guys, how's it going? Welcome back to Sam Kitchen. My name's Sam Lin. I am just a home cook who's really passionate about sustainability and save money by making things at home. And hopefully I can help you guys do the same in your own kitchen as well. Whenever it is early half of the year here in Australia, I get super excited because that means it's wombok season. Wombok is a big ass kind of cabbage that is super meaty, and it's perfect in any kind of soupy dishes, ranging from hot pot or noodle soup. Is just so good. One of my absolute favorite vegetables, and what's even better about it is it's the main ingredients of one of my favorite pickled kind of vegetable, which is over here, kimchi. If you have not heard of kimchi or tried kimchi in the past, I feel a little bit sorry for you, and you really are missing out big time. Kimchi is a fermented product, and the main ingredients is wombok, being Chinese cabbage, and people normally add in carrot, ginger, garlic, spring onion, all these kind of really good stuff to add additional flavor to it. It's spicy, it's funky, it's punchy, and it's got a really good balance of saltiness as well as acidity, and it's just incredible. Being a fermented product, it also lasts for a very long time. So whenever it's wombok season, I love buying the really cheap wombok, turn it into kimchi, and then just store it in the fridge for a good 3 to 4 months. It lasts for a very long time, and the longer it stays in the fridge, the more concentrated the flavor gets. It's incredible, and I highly recommend you guys to try it at home as well. In today's video, I'm going to show you guys exactly how to do that. Before we get into the recipe, I would really appreciate it if you guys can smash the like button down below. It really helps promote my video to a wider audience. I would really like to be able to share my cooking knowledge and my idea of sustainability to a wider audience, and hopefully help this world to be a slightly better place. And that is all I ever dream of. Without further ado, let's get cooking.
To make kimchi, we'll be splitting our ingredients into two parts. We'll have kimchi itself on one side and the paste on the other side. For the ingredients, we'll need a big fat wombok as the main ingredients for kimchi. Besides wombok, you can add some daikon or spring onion. Being a tight ass myself, we're sticking to the basics today. I got some baby carrots for cheap the other day, but normal sized carrots work just fine too. I'm not sure about your preference in terms of size here. I personally have got a pretty big one. That's the basic for our kimchi, and we'll move on to the paste part. One of the key ingredients to ferment kimchi is fish sauce. In terms of aromatics, we'll need some ginger, some garlic, and an onion. One thing I forgot to show on the screen is Korean chili flakes, gochugaru. They are available in most Asian supermarket, and it's pretty important when it comes to making kimchi. Last but not least, we'll need some salt to draw the moisture out of that wombok. That's all of the ingredients. We'll put these aside and get started. First thing first, we're going to prep our cabbage. The cabbage needs to be salted to draw the moisture out, which takes about 30 minutes up to 2 hours. We'll cut the cabbage in half and then in chunks. Salt it and just let time do its thing. Grab a big mixing bowl to catch all of the cabbage. There's no real trick to it. We'll cut it in half and then into sections. When first cut open the cabbage, you can see right at the bottom is the core of our cabbage. It's dense and not the most pleasant to eat when fresh. However, same as what we did with sauerkraut, after being fermented, it's a flavor bomb, so keep it, and trust me, you will be rewarded. Cut the core out and we'll chuck it in the mixing bowl. Flat side of the cabbage down and cut it into about 3 cm sections. Put them all in the mixing bowl and we'll do the same for the other half. Once all of the cabbage is cut up, we want to break up the layers a little bit so we can expose as much surface area as possible so the salt can penetrate through evenly. Once all of the leaves are loosened up, we're going to salt our cabbage generously. Like, generously. and go really hard. We want to draw the moisture out of the cabbage so you'll take on the flavour we're putting in. For 1 kilo of cabbage, add in at least 3 to 4 big pinches of salt to start with. And we want to mix our cabbage and salt through thoroughly. Once well combined, we'll put aside and start working on our kimchi paste. As always, we'll be putting our food scraps in our compost box in order to reduce the landfill waste. Cut our onion in half. Onion skin and 2 ends of the onion are all compostable. Flat side down, and we want to finely dice our onion so it's easier to turn into a paste. Thinly slice the onion, but don't cut all the way through. Leave the very end attached so it's easy to work with. Turn it 90 degrees and slice it through. This is honestly the easiest way to finely dice your onion. Towards the end, it'll get a little bit difficult to cut. Flip the onion down to cut halfway through again. Flip it back up, and now we've got a big flat surface to finish dicing our onion. Onion in the mortar and pestle, and we'll cut up the other half the same way. Next thing on the list is some garlic. For our kimchi, we're just wanting about 5 cloves of garlic or 20 grams in weight. My garlic told me it was getting a little bit warm, so I took its cloves off. Terrible. Smash our garlic to activate a good enzyme called allicin. Finally chop our garlic and in goes to the mortar and pestle. Last but not the least is our ginger. I personally like to keep the skin of the ginger on. Unless it's covered in dirt and cannot be washed off, I like to keep it on so it's one less step to do and we'll get to keep more nutrition in our food as well. Give it some rough choppy chop and into the mortar and pestle. I started making the paste with the mortar and pestle and quickly realized that it's going to take a while to grind the whole thing into a paste, so I whip out my stick blender to speed the process up. It doesn't have to be silky smooth, but you definitely want it to be pasty. Once it looks like the consistency shown on the screen, it's pretty much good to go. Go back to our cabbage. This is at about 30 minutes mark and you can see the cabbage start to sweat. I mixed it a bit, massage it a bit, and I normally leave it for another 30 to 60 minutes. After the time's up, the cabbage looks a little bit more wilted and there's a pot of cabbage juice right under it. When the cabbage is soft to touch and not firm and crunchy anymore, that's when we'll be washing our salt off. Make sure you rinse all of the salt off the cabbage, otherwise you'll end up having a very salty kimchi. Let our cabbage drain off and we'll move on to our carrots. We want to julienne our carrot. You can either use a mandolin, a grater, or just cut it with your knife. Cut an edge off to stabilize. Flat side down, cut it in slices and into tiny little sticks. Into the mixing bowl with our cabbage, and we're almost done here. Now we have all of our ingredients ready and it's time to combine them all together. Into our bowl, with 1 kilo of cabbage, we'll add 60 grams of gochugaru, 60 grams of fish sauce, and we'll mix in our ginger, garlic and onion paste. Tiny spatula to clean the bowl out. To combine, get your hands in and mix it well. Once it's well combined, we want to jar our kimchi up. Find a jar that is slightly too big for your kimchi. Being a fermented product, kimchi releases gas and has the potential to overflow, so make sure your jar is big enough to allow for all of the activities. Drop your kimchi in the jar and make sure you pack it in very well. It's very important to push the air out of the kimchi, as the oxygen and air tend to soften kimchi and produces some lesser pleasant flavour. A fully submerged kimchi is crunchy and, in my opinion, a lot nicer. Clean around the jar and it's ready to be put away. Just like any other fermented food, Carbon dioxide will be released in the process, so make sure you don't fully seal your jar. I normally use a rubber band to pull the lid in. With the elasticity of the rubber band, it allows for gas to escape, so you don't have to physically burp your jar every second day. As always, make sure you label your food so you know what's in the jar and when it's made. Give it a name if you wish. Maybe just don't call it Kim Jong-un because kimchi, fermented, bomb, kitchen, really just not the best combination. Put the label on and that's pretty much done. We'll put the kimchi in a cool dark place for 5 to 10 days. Here's the 24 hours time lapse of kimchi fermenting and releasing gas. You can see some really nice air bubbles. Make sure you open the kimchi up and press the cabbage back into the liquid every second day to keep your kimchi submerged. To dish up, I made some kimchi jjigae for lunch. Kimchi jjigae is essentially kimchi hot pot, where you can add veggies, tofu, meat, or even spam if you're feeling a little bit naughty. Keeping it simple, I'm just putting in some cabbage, some kimchi. This is where I added a cabbage core to add some extra flavor to the soup. Crack an egg in, and some basa for extra protein. Got some rice to go with it, and of course, I had to top it with some extra kimchi. The cost breakdown is as below. One wombok in season is about $1. 150 grams of carrots at $1 a kilo equals to 15 cents. 60 grams of ginger at $14 a kilo equals to 84 cents. 20 grams of garlic equals to about 5 cents. 1 onion at $1 a kilo equals to 20 cents. 60 grams of Korean chili flakes at $2.20 per 100 grams equals to $1.30. 60 grams of fish sauce at 41 cents per 100 mils equals to 24 cents. Altogether, 1.5 kilo of kimchi costed us $3.78 to make. You can easily pay 5 to 7 times of that for store-bought kimchi.
Alright, and there we have it. That's our kimchi done. It's so delicious, packed with flavor. It's something that I really look forward to when it's wombok season. I normally make a batch and it will last me 2-3 months. It just goes in no time. It's really versatile. Have it as a side dish. The one that I made today, some kimchi jjigae. It's nice and hearty and warm for winter weather like this. One of my favorite things to make and keep in the fridge. It's just perfect all around. Put it in some hot pot, have it as a side dish, whatever. I'm going to dig in. The fermented flavor, it's nice and punchy, a little bit acidic, a little bit salty, a little bit spicy. Adds so much flavor into soup or hot pot. Previously, I was encouraging you guys not to throw away the core, and this is the gold when it comes to soup. Chuck one piece in there and it just adds so much depth to your hot pot or soup. Really encourage you guys to try this at home. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you give it a like and consider subscribing. I put out a new video on a weekly basis. Thank you so much, and I will see you in the next one.